New wall crawler hits your comic book shelves. We got not one, but two Spawn comic books being released. And of course, guys, we have Gun Honey issue 2. All this and more on this week's episode of Top 10 Most Anticipated Comics. Hey, yo, my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, you're with me, Mike Spider Slayer, always helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy. And today, guys, I am bringing you my top 10 most anticipated comic books for October 20th, 2021. That's right, guys, it's never too early to start that pull list for next week, and hopefully this list does help you make decisions on what comic books to buy for next week. But before we jump into this week's list, guys, if you want to go ahead and help support the channel, just go ahead and hit that join button right there on my home screen. Guys, like I said, it helps supports the channel and it gives you, the viewers, some extra perks. So thank you so much, and thank you all to watching the channel and supporting it. So let's kick off this list, starting with the Hot Seat. And the Hot Seat is the newest wall crawler that hit store shelves. And guys, this is Erik Larsen's Ant issue 1. That's right, guys. Have you heard of Ant before? Well, it's been in the comic book shops before. It has, I think, maybe 14 issues altogether, released sporadically throughout the years. Erik Larsen bought the property. He finished off the old series a couple of months ago, and now he is re-releasing it. Now, you're probably like, Mike, why are you going to read this Ant book, right? And it's done by Erik Larsen. For you guys that don't know me, Erik Larsen is a special creator in my heart because he is one of the first Spider-Man artists that I really appreciated besides Todd McFarlane when I first started getting into comic books. And he also kicked off Savage Dragon in the early Image days, and I really enjoyed his artwork, and I still follow his stuff today. So I want to see what he does with a new property, or a property that has been around, but he's taking over, and he hasn't done anything else besides Savage Dragon. So I definitely want to check this out, hoping that it's going to be a good read. And again, it's different, it's exciting, new. We'll see what happens with it, right? So if you're interested in this book, it's 32 pages, it's $4. Like I said, getting ready to come out next week. So what's the book that's on the rise? And there was a little bit of buzz going around with this book last time it came out, and the book that's on the rise this week is Gun Honey issue 2. Now, Gun Honey issue 1, I think, was a little bit of a spec book. It's got some controversial covers going on with the first issue, and as you can see here, there's also another pretty, risque cover going on in this one as well. The artwork is very sexy-like on the inside, but that's not the only thing that it's got going for it. The main character's name is Joanna Tan. She is an armed specialist, and she's getting hired by the U.S. government, and she's trying to find the man she set loose and bring him down. I guess that, that he was in prison once or whatnot, and released him. The last issue was actually pretty good, as we got to see the origin story of Joanna, which was nice, and how she was raised by her dad, how her dad taught her everything there was to know about guns, and how she smuggles them and gets them to people's places so they can finish off their hits and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was a pretty good story. So I'm curious to see what issue 2 has to offer. Does the story continue to develop the character and the supporting cast, or does it just go down the tubes and all it's good for is just pretty artwork? We'll see what happens with it. I'm definitely on board with issue 2. So let's officially kick off this countdown now with number 10. And number 10, this book has fallen quite a bit for me, and this one is Batman issue 115. This continues Fear State. This is part 4. And then you're going to have a backup story with Batgirls in it as well. The Batgirl story might be kind of like a lead into the Batgirls comic book series that is getting ready to come out soon. But when it comes to Fear State, I just feel like there's just nothing really ever progressing this story. And I felt like in the last issue, 114, we got to see a battle between Task Force 1, Task Force 1, what is it? The Magistrate, Peacekeeper 1, there we go. Peacekeeper 1, Peacekeeper 10, Peacekeeper X, whatever it was a big freaking battle, and it was just there, man. I mean, it was cool. There was lots of action, but just nothing really progresses the story for me when it comes to Batman. It's still entertaining. It's still kind of action-packed there. The artwork is gorgeous. I definitely want to see how it ends. But when it comes to all the other books, it just seems like I'm more excited about this. And now that Tynion's leaving, it's like, oh, come on, let's move on to Joshua Williamson now and just let's move on, right? So I'm going to move on from this comic book. Next, coming in at number 9, and this is no longer on the hot seat for me, and this goes to Moon Knight issue 4. And the reason why it's no longer on the hot seat is because I really enjoyed issue 3 when it had to do with, like, what was that, the Hunter Moon or Moon Hunter or whatever the heck he was, and him and Moon Knight had to battle each other. Now I still need to learn a lot more about this character and, you know, how he operates and his different personalities and whatnot, but I find myself enjoying it a little bit more, and Jed MacKay is adding a lot more to the character, and this is the beginning of a new story arc which is going to have Tigra on it, and we haven't seen Tigra in a very long time. I think the last time she was in a book was like, was it like Avengers Academy or something like that? It's been so long since I remember her in a book. So if she was something a little bit newer or later on, just let me know in the comments below. But I'm looking forward to this. I think the artwork is very gorgeous in this book as well. It's 32 pages and it's $4. Let me know, guys. Are you enjoying Moon Knight right now? So let's move on to number 8. And number 8 goes to Thor issue 18. So we're going to get one more issue here, and I feel like this is a story centered around Throg, which I think is very cool. I love that character. And but I think it's going to be just like a filler story before we get into issue 19, where Nick Klein comes back and we're going to get this brand new epic story arc like we had at the beginning of the series. So if you are a fan of Throg and you want to know a little bit more about him, and I guess maybe where he came from, or this little story or adventure that he goes on, check this out. I'll be definitely checking it out. But I'm really looking forward to Nick Klein's return and the beginning of a new story arc when it comes to Thor. So if you're following legacy numbering, this is 744, 32 pages, $4. Moving on up on this countdown to number 7. I feel like this is a very underrated series. No one ever talks about it. I'm very curious what the sales are on this book. It's probably like 25,000 copies. But this is Spider-Woman issue 16. This is a wonderful story. There is so much humor and there is so much action, and it's gritty and the pacing's good. And it's so awesome, man, when it comes to Jessica Drew just fighting and just, you know, coming up with a good supporting cast. I think that's what makes this book really good, as she has a new niece and she's come across, I think, like her brother or father? I don't even know. I forgot now. But, you know, they all had like spider powers, and she finds out where she came from, and she had an illness and she had to cure it. But her niece now is actually wearing a spider suit. And even though we've seen so many different spider characters, this one is just fun. And if you're like comic books, just to read them and have a good time and not take it too seriously, I feel like this is the book for you. You know, you're just gonna be like, wow, this is awesome, this looks so good, oh, the action's so great. You know, if you're not looking into that huge Spider-Woman lore or continuity, I think this is just something you're gonna enjoy as a comic book fan. So this one's 32 pages and it is $4. Let's move on to number 6. And we have Nightwing issue 85. And you're probably like, Nightwing is number 6 on your list? The only reason why it's number 6 on my list is because it ties into Fear State. So I feel like Tom Taylor's hands are a little bit tied when it comes to this book, because he's forced to sit there and be like, all right, well, I got to talk about Fear State now. So that's what it is. And we wind up getting to see Dick meet up with Barbara over in Gotham because they're trying to find out who this fake Oracle is. And then Barbara's like, well, no more am I sitting behind the sidelines. I'm going to don the costume once again. I'm going to take my big ass staff that I showed in the last issue, and I'm going to kick some ass with it. So that's the way it looks. What are they going to do together in this issue? I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure, though, that Tom Taylor will put some great character moments in this book and make this tie-in worth your read. So even though it's a little bit lower and it's not the story I want to see right now because it's tying into Fear State, I'm still looking forward to his writing on this book. So this one is 32 pages and $4. Moving on up to number 5, we have a book that I'm really enjoying right now, and this is Fantastic Four, issue 37. There are monsters on Yancey Street. So this is a Halloween-centric issue, and I want to know if they're going to touch on the story of what's going on with Johnny right now as he's constantly flaring up to like supernova I guess, threat, and they stuck him down in the basement, and while he's like that, he can't eat, he can't really feel emotion, all kinds of things like that. And so I wonder if they're just going to leave Johnny in the basement for this issue, and the rest of the Fantastic Four are going to go trick-or-treating and whatnot, and they're going to go revisit him in later issues, and maybe he's going to start going crazy or becoming evil or whatnot. I don't know, but I think the artwork is very good in this book. It's bright, it's vibrant. I think Dan Slott's doing a wonderful job with these characters, like their emotions and their personalities, and I think he nails the tone when it comes to the Fantastic Four. I'm quite enjoying this. This is a surprise for me. This is legacy numbering 682, 28-page comic book, and this is $4. Oh, getting closer to number 1. We're at number 4 now, and this one goes to The Death of Doctor Strange, issue 2. This is done by Jed MacKay, and the first issue was quite interesting as you got to see kind of like the daily life of Doctor Strange on what he's doing every single day, and how he went to Strange Academy, and he's warning the kids, you never know what can happen, but one of you in this classroom could be the next Sorcerer Supreme, which I kind of felt like it was a cool foreshadowing, because it's like, I think someone in that room is going to be the next Doctor Strange. And the reason why Strange Academy exists is I think that girl Emily, who was the original character in this book, or main character, might be a Sorcerer Supreme in the future. That's kind of my theory there. But anyway, going back to Doctor Strange, or The Death of Doctor Strange, the first issue, you wind up getting to see him actually die. You don't know who killed him, but then he winds up producing something that was, in case he did die, he created, I think, what was an old Doctor Strange, like a misplaced time Doctor Strange. In case he died, he's like, oh, the Doctor Strange from the 60s will come on out and, take over modern day times. Pretty weird, pretty interesting. But what happens if this Doctor Strange dies? Then there truly won't be a Doctor Strange, right? Unless he can kind of comes up with a contingency plan that way. I don't know. Great stuff, though. I love the first issue of this. Can't wait to see what happens going forward. 28 pages, $4, guys. Coming in at number 3, and this is another Tom Taylor book, and I feel like this book is getting better also. Superman, Son of Calel, issue 4. Now we're going to get to see John kind of carry on the legacy of his father, right? Superman has definitely taken off at this point in time, and right when that happens, you wind up getting to see one of these new villains, or people that can't control their powers, winds up being dumped upon on the Kent farmhouse and creates like this, I don't know, earthquake or whatever it is, which was quite interesting. That's what was last left off in the last issue. And I love this book because it's given John his own voice. He's not some Superman clone. And I feel like for Superman readers, if you want something different from a Superman comic book besides a goody two-shoes Clark Kent, you're going to want John. I think John sees things in a different light, and I think that gives the Superman book something fresh. And I don't have a problem with that. And maybe some people do, but I truly don't. you got to remember, I've said this before, he is half Kryptonian, half human. So he's lived on Earth his entire life, and it's what he knows. So it's 32 pages, $4. Super close to number 1, but number 2 doesn't have not just one book, but it has 2 books. And this one goes to King Spawn issue 3. And the next book we're going to have is the first issue of Gunslinger Spawn issue 1. King Spawn was quite good. When it comes to, I guess, the reintroduction of Kincaid, the villain, on him like possessing these kids or making these kids believe that a shooting was the right thing to do. Was it at the Washington Capitol? I don't remember exactly where it was at, but I thought it was pretty cool. You know, really cool thing. And at the end, you were just left like, oh, what's going to happen next, right? And then when it comes to Gunslinger Spawn, I'm totally interested in that first issue because I want to know what Gunslinger is about. I want to know more of him, more of the adventures that he goes on. He just seems like a pretty badass character, and I think for a lot of comic book readers out there, I think there's just this attraction to this character, and I don't know, man. Is it because people just like him carrying guns, or does it remind you of a old school Western? Like, what is it about Gunslinger that you guys actually like? Leave that in the comments below. I'm looking forward to both books here. I couldn't pick one over the other. I think this is going to be kind of cool. So this Gunslinger one, though, is going to be 48 pages, $6, but don't worry, Spawn fans, it's going to be $3 once we get to issue 2. So what's number 1 on my list? Well, number 1 goes to Fight Girls issue 4. You guys know how I feel about Fight Girls. This is from AWA Upshot. I feel like this is their best series to date that they have ever released, about these 10 women who go on this reality show, this reality combat show, fighting each other for the crown to be queen of whatever, right? And then you got this girl that's on this cover here with the eye patch. She's not who she says she is. She's somebody completely different, and they're doing this investigation. But in issue 3, it was so gory where a shark ate one of the contestants, and you got a pterodactyl, carrying one up to the sky. It's just so it's just so mind-blowing. You're just like, oh man. And Cho's artwork is absolutely phenomenal. I love this flipping book. It's so good, man. Can't wait to see what issue 4 has to offer. It's gotta do something great to top issue 3, because that was the best issue so far of this series. So definitely looking forward to it. I think there's 2 girls left. They're going to fight it off with each other, and then whoever wins, I think, becomes the queen, or we think, right? 28 pages, $4. Guys, when this comes out in trade, pick it up. I don't think enough people are talking about Fight Girls. There you have it, everybody. There are my top 10 most anticipated comic books for next week. Hopefully you enjoyed the list. Leave me in the comments below what you think you're most anticipating next week. Hopefully it lives up to that hype. And of course, guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that bell. If you like the content, I'll leave you more content right here to check out. And of course, guys, as always, keep buying, keep collecting, and most importantly, keep reading those comic books. Guys, I'll see you in that next video. Take care. Bye.